Welcome to the Joy of Cruising podcast with your host, award-winning author Paul C. Thornton, a weekly conversation with the amazing cruisers featured in the Joy of Cruising books, comprised of The Joy of Cruising, Cruising Interrupted, new release, The Joy of Cruising Again, as well as other fun, informative global cruise personalities. It's the next best thing to cruising, hearing about cruising from the unique and diverse perspectives of Paul's amazing guests. If you hear about a cruise that interests you, book it at www.thejoyoфvacation.com or enter to win a free cruise for two. Again, www.thejoyoфvacation.com. We really appreciate your feedback, so leave us a text. Paul can't reply, but he may read your text on the air.
Hello, passionate cruisers. This is Paul. This week on the Joy of Cruising podcast, I am delighted to welcome Jennifer Halboth, CEO for the Americas, Riverside Luxury Cruises. We have had several small ship and river cruise specialists on the podcast, as well as leaders from some of the lines, and of course, passionate cruisers providing us their cruise reports from their time on various small ship and river cruises. This is the first time we have exclusively focused on Riverside Luxury Cruises, and I am excited to meet Jen and learn about Riverside. Jen Halboth is the CEO of Riverside Luxury Cruises Americas. She believes that title really stands for Chief Engagement Officer. Travel, after all, is a business built by and for humans to get out and discover the world and each other. To do that, you have to be engaged. Before she joined Riverside in 2022, Jen was with Avalon Waterways and the Globus family of brands for 19 years, most recently in the Senior Director National Accounts role. She held various sales and marketing positions during her tenure and even sharpened her teeth on operations, planning, and hosting successful charter programs for travel industry partners, including Virtuoso, Signal Travel Network, and Travel Leaders. Halboth's initial foray into the world of travel began in 1998 when she worked in advertising and marketing for one of the very first internet travel sites, Trip.com, though her career is quite varied. Before diving into travel full-time with the Globus family of brands, she was a founding member and account executive at PR and marketing agency LH3 in Denver. She was trade marketing manager at Airwalk, which manufactured and marketed snowboarding boots and skate shoes. Jen graduated from the University of Michigan Ross School of Business in 1995 before moving to Colorado, where she began her career in professional sports. She worked in public relations for the Stanley Cup champion Colorado Avalanche in 1995. And yes, she does have a Stanley Cup ring. When Halboth isn't out creating preference and excitement for Riverside Luxury Cruises, she spends her time in Evergreen, Colorado with her son Hank, sweet peppers, daisy cakes, and an amazing tribe of family and friends. Biking, snowboarding, playing tennis, traveling, seeing live music, and rooting for Michigan sports. Go Blue! Welcome, Jen, to the Joy of Cruising podcast.
Thanks, Paul. I'm so excited to be here.
So how you doing?
I'm doing amazing. And yourself?
I am, actually, I'm doing well. Whenever I'm approaching, whenever I'm approaching a cruise, but this is actually not a cruise. We're getting ready to go on the rare land trip.
Oh, okay. Well, that's a good segue to what we're going to talk about today a little bit. So we'll talk about how river cruises may be a little closer to a land trip than a cruise. So we'll get into it. Where are you going on your land trip?
We're going to Dubai.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So, I'm the cruiser. I love cruising. I can cruise nonstop. But my wife likes to, add in the occasional land trip. So I can't.
Much like some travelers, right? Much like some travelers. So that's good.
Yep. So I couldn't think of a better land trip. Well, there are a lot of great land trips, but I would love to see Dubai.
All right.
Good to virtually meet you. Before we discuss Riverside Luxury Cruises and the path that led you there, tell our listeners about yourself, where you're from, where you live, uh, anything you would
Yeah.
like to share.
Okay. Anything I want. Okay. Well, I grew up in Michigan, so I'm a Midwesterner at heart, but I have been out here in Colorado since 1995 after graduating from the University of Michigan. Go Blue. I've been out here. I fell in love with Colorado because my mom's oldest sister moved out to Colorado in Winter Park in the late 70s and started coming out here and really just kind of fixated on it. And as soon as I graduated from business school, I went to Europe for 3 weeks, did the Eurorail, went all over, did the whole post-college travel thing, and it was amazing, and moved here with no job, no place to live, no car, and $500 left in my bank account for my trip.
Wow.
So that's, yeah. And
Adventurous.
yes, I guess I am adventurous. But then I've stayed here, but I travel a lot. But really Colorado, I spent a lot of time between Colorado and Michigan. Like my son and I always go back to Michigan. We'll drive back for 4th of July. We love it. The water's great. Shooting off your own fireworks. It's good stuff. So that's kind of how I got to Colorado, and then, had a lot of jobs. I worked in professional sports. I worked for the Colorado Avalanche when they moved from Quebec in the first 2 seasons. I worked in footwear, but basically I've been in travel now for a very, very long time.
You don't have your Stanley Cup ring nearby, do you?
Well, it is in my drawer. I do. It's right there. Yes, I do have it. It's very cool. It's a good it's a good conversation starter.
Well, it sounds like it's more than a conversation starter. It is a conversation itself.
Yeah. Well, Carolina, the Hurricanes are looking pretty good right now, I have to say, right?
Yeah, but I don't have a Stanley Cup ring.
No.
So let's diverge just a second. Tell us how you got the Stanley Cup ring.
Oh, well, because I worked in the front office. I worked in the PR department with Pierre Lacroix. And, when they won the cup in 95, I was only an intern, but then I got hired on full time. And of course, my ring does not look like the player rings, but they gave everyone who worked on the staff of a Stanley Cup team got a ring, or they gave women pendants, but I asked for a ring. So I got a ring instead of a pendant.
Well, that sounds like quite a conversation piece.
Yeah, it's very cool.
Talk about the path that led you to Riverside Luxury Cruises.
Yeah, well, I was with the Globus family of brands for 19 years. So obviously on that side, that's why I love they're taking land vacation. So tours and river cruises. I was actually, yeah.
For the listeners, say a little bit about Globus family of brands.
I will. Yeah. So Globus is a long-standing tour operator, been around since 1928 out of Lugano, Switzerland. Their headquarters are here in Littleton, Colorado. And they sell tours all over the world. And then they have Avalon Waterways, which is their river cruise line. So I actually joined them right as they launched Avalon. So I joined in 2003, which was, right when they started marketing and then sailing Avalon. So I worked on the marketing side for 12 years. I was in marketing. I mean, I came up, my degree was in marketing and with a minor in art history. So all my jobs have been kind of PR marketing. So I was on the marketing side, but then after I've been there for quite a while, I raised my hand and asked to come over to the sales side. So I actually moved into national account sales, which is a very atypical path, right? To move from marketing into national account sales. Yet I kind of oversaw all channel marketing. So I was very trade focused and I knew a lot of the players already. And once I moved into sales, I realized, oh, here's where I should have been all along. Like put me on stage, ask me questions. I'm an extrovert, if you can't tell already.
You're kidding.
Yeah. I like to say once I moved from marketing into sales, I feel like I went from doing marketing, for a travel company to working in travel. And there's a big difference, right? And once I got onto that side of the business, I found I was home. So I was there, and everyone knows, I say this all the time, I was going to retire from the Globus family of brands, but the universe had other ideas. And there was a gentleman by the name of Burkhart Lell, who was our managing director of Avalon in Europe operations. And he parted ways with Globus family of brands during COVID. started doing consulting for the owners of Riverside, who also own Seaside Collection Hotels. They're actually a family-run hotel business that have been around
Okay.
since the 70s in Europe, and they have one fabulous property, the Lu in the Maldives. But hotel people, so he was doing consulting because he knew River Cruise, and the owner asked him to, find some people who might be willing to start up the North American sales and marketing operations. My name got thrown in the hat. The German owner picked me, and the rest is history. And I've been here 2.5 years. I was hire number 1, and we're now a team of 12 in North America.
We'll be right back.
Do you have a dream car? Mine is the Lucid Air. Are you intrigued by electric vehicles? The Lucid Air EV has been called the best driving car in the world. And the Lucid Air Sapphire is certifiably the fastest production car in the world. Listen to Lucid Driver Podcast wherever you listen to podcasts or at luciddriver.buzzsprout.com. Okay, great. Thank you. Now, tell our listeners, who is Riverside Luxury Cruises?
Yeah, absolutely. So for those cruisers out there, like I said, they're a hotel family business, but started up in 22, started sailing in 23. But those of you cruisers out there probably know the Crystal Cruise brand, right? So the Crystal Cruise brand still lives on the ocean. Abercrombie and Kent, bought the ocean ships, and the brand goes on. But Riverside, and that's why we're called Riverside, Seaside, Riverside. See, so people are like, what, Riverside? But when you kind of get the background of the parent company being Seaside, where a lot of their hotels are in more resort areas like the Canary Islands, Seaside, Riverside, they got all 5 of the former Crystal River ships. So we've got this beautiful hardware that we now are marketing as Riverside. And we've really taken the hardware and created a brand that is all our own. And it really is the top luxury brand in the river cruise space in such a short amount of time, which is really, I think, pretty impressive.
So just for my own edification, what was Crystal? Because I know Crystal has been reborn or relaunched or whatever. They had a river cruising side and an ocean cruising side.
They did. Yep, okay. Absolutely. So some advisors have definitely been on, the former ships, some guests. I mean, Crystal was very beloved by a lot of travelers. So we definitely have a lot of Crystal fans out there that now we're trying to bring over to Riverside and say, hey, you love this hardware. Let us introduce you to Riverside.
Okay. So say more about Riverside. Say something about your fleet and about your itineraries.
Yep. So we started our first ship. The Mozart was the first one to start sailing. She is very special ship, extra wide on the Danube. So because she's, there's more dining areas, more space. The Mozart sails from Passau down into, lower Danube, Iron Gates, Belgrade. Then we've got the Debussy that sails, kind of starts up in tulip time, gets down onto the Rhine, the Mosel, and also does Danube through Christmas markets. And then we have the Ravel that is in the south of France and does the Rhone and Saône. So we're sailing 3 ships right now, but we own 5. We leased a couple out. We will bring back the Bach to our fleet in 27 and the Mahler in 28. So by 2028, we'll have 5 beautiful ships sailing the rivers of Europe.
So have you had the opportunity to sell the 3 ships?
Yes, I've been on every ship. The Debussy and Ravel are exact sister ships. I mean, that's what's so nice about it. That's what makes Riverside so easy. I mean, the Mozart's kind of unique in its own right, but then the rest of the fleet is, all the same. Only a few stateroom configurations, which makes it easy, but we have the largest average suite size. And one of our big hallmarks is we put less people on board, right? So when you think about the average river cruise operator sailing a 135 meter ship, that's what I mean. Viking only sails 135. Most of the other lines, mostly 135. Some have smaller ones at 110. But on a 135 meter ship, we only put 110 people. And the other lines put anywhere between 140 and 190. So you have a lot more space for the guests to spread out, enjoy larger suites, king size beds in every suite. a butler for every suite.
Oh, wow.
So, oh yeah, yeah. So, I mean, we really, and then of course, food. I mean, when you think about the luxury traveler, food, foodies, you got to have top-notch food. And really, our food, in a very short amount of time, we have established ourselves as, pretty much the culinary standard in River Cruise. I mean, it really is Michelin star level, and people notice it, and it's really amazing. And it's why a lot of people are really raving about Riverside.
Now, you said 110 capacity. I thought I heard you say Mozart was a little larger. Is that one?
Yeah, Mozart. So Mozart has 162.
Okay.
So to give some perspective for that, with an extra wide, Ama is another line that has an extra wide ship, right? The Ama Magna. So so the Ama Magna is roughly the same size as the Mozart. They put 196. We only put 162. So even on our larger ship, that kind of promise of less people on board holds true.
Yeah, I've only been on one river cruise not too long ago. That was Armour. I suspect, many of my listeners have not yet done river cruise, and I don't want to generalize because I'm sure there's listeners out there who have done dozens. But so just to give them a little bit of a sense of what it's like, give us some highlights of your travels on Riverside's fleet.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, the greatest thing is when you come aboard every Riverside ship, you will be greeted with a smile and a champagne. I mean, you walk on and you immediately realize you were on vacation. You've been picked up at the airport because we include transfers in all our pricing. So we pick you up at the airport, especially coming over from the States, you're tired, you've been flying all night, you look great. You probably smell better, but, we whisk you away from the airport and you're either in a beautiful large coach, really beautiful, lots of leg room, very spacious coaches. Or maybe you have a private transfer because some of our suites, our upper level suites, include a private transfer, or you can add on a private transfer if you prefer. And sometimes, depending on when you come in, if there's not other travelers coming in at that time, you might be on a small private transfer, which is nice. You get on board, your bags are taken care of. If your room is ready, you're taken right to your room. If your room's not ready yet, because maybe you have an early morning arrival, then you can, go to the lounge. We'll put some food out during, the day. You could go out and explore the city. I mean, you just immediately get right into it, right? It's wonderful. So in terms for me, some of the reason people river cruise is one, the intimacy, right? You just want to be sailing with just, not as many people, getting into really small towns, going to places you didn't even think were on your bucket list, like Rudesheim. Like, I don't know many people out there that would put Rudesheim on their bucket list, but once they go, they're like, what a great, cute little town, right? And that's what's really nice about river cruising. One of the favorite things I've done on a river cruise with Riverside is I did a 5-mile kayak trip in the south of France under the Pont du Gard.
Oh, wow.
And it was wonderful, right? And we got picked up and then whisked away to a winery for a private lunch. I mean, it's a top-notch experience, but that's the thing, it's very inclusive. So with us, we have different levels of pricing we could get into if you want to get into that. But at the end of the day, most people love River Cruise because of its inclusiveness. And so for us, in our premium all-inclusive package with excursions, you get a premium beverage package, which includes real champagne, Tattinger champagne, and a wide variety of spirits that are included and other wines. We have this beautiful botanist cocktail menu. The ginger martini, I think, is wonderful. So you get this amazing beverage package, which includes a stocked mini bar in your room. We've got 24-hour room service. We have a variety of dining venues. You get a butler assigned to your suite. We have an indoor pool. We have a spa room. So if you want to do a spa service, that's an additional cost, but it's available to you. And then you get all your...
Let me jump in. Indoor pool?
Yeah. Indoor pool. We have an indoor pool. Now, it's not huge.
My only experience on a river cruise is that there was a pool on the top deck, but I'm trying to imagine an indoor.
Yeah. So, I mean, at the end of the day, everyone uses the space differently on a river cruise, right? But space is at a premium. So I like to always say with river cruise, ocean cruise, the sky's the limit, right? They get bigger, wider, they can do everything. On a river cruise, you have to decide how you want to use your space. So, some people, so where we have like our indoor pool, some people might have a back lounge, some people have other staterooms. We use that space to have a nice, tranquil indoor pool. It's nice if it has a current machine. So some people do use swimming as like their fitness.
Uh-huh.
But it's also, if you do bring kids on, we do allow children, they'll get in a pool anytime, anywhere. I also, when I did that kayaking, it was 102 in Leon, and I was out, walking around. I got back and I got right in that pool to get my body temperature down, and they do bring you drinks back there. So it's not a bad deal. And you can use it all the time. You're not, it's not dependent on the weather.
Now you mentioned kids. Isn't that atypical for river cruises, particularly luxury river?
Yeah. So let's talk about kids, family, multi-gen, right? I mean, what we are at Riverside is we are family friendly, but not necessarily family forward, right? Like, I don't think a lot of people are but yet I think the luxury multi-gen traveler, those families that say do a week in Beaver Creek skiing, they like to do everything with their kids. And so that's why we don't have an age limit, because especially things like Christmas markets, which are awesome trips for multi-gen, we want to say yes to that booking. We want to have everyone be able to come on. We have connecting rooms, and that's nice. We have bubble waffles, and we've got ice cream, and we've got some things that are very family friendly. But we don't have a kids program. If we have a bike excursion, we don't have tiny bikes. So we don't cultivate it, but for, as long as you manage those expectations and you have kids that really are, more precocious or savvy travelers, it's a really cool way to go on a very complex European trip with ease. Because you imagine traveling with kids, you don't want to be going from hotel to hotel, packing, unpacking, like that's madness, right? Bring them on a river cruise.
Yep. Well, now you just said something else I want to pick. I know it sounds like I'm jumping around, but
no, it's okay. I'm here for it.
I've kind of already penciled Riverside Luxury Cruises on my bucket list. So,
wow. Okay, we're going to help you with that then.
You mentioned excursions. How do excursions work on Riverside?
So the cool thing with us is we do have different levels of pricing. So I think flexibility is the name of the game with River Cruise. I think it's a lot more flexible than people think. And with Riverside, it's extremely flexible. So if you do the all-inclusive package that includes everything, you'll get a choice of excursions in every port. No additional charge. You'll know what they are in advance. You book them ahead of time, but you can also make changes when you're on ship. And we always have a variety. So we're going to do more of a traditional walking tour, then maybe something more immersive, like going to a wine tasting or a chocolate museum and chocolate tasting, and then more active things like hiking, biking, kayaking. So you get to choose in each port included, right? We do have a couple optionals, like bigger, whether it's like a helicopter ride, things like that are cool, but we don't include, but you can pay for a la carte. If you think you're not going to go on a lot of tours and you really want to use the river cruise more as just your own personal exploration, then you could price it out without the excursions, and you could just pay a la carte on board for the one or two that you do. So it's very flexible.
Okay.
And we keep our groups small for our tour. We like to keep our groups in the 15 to no more than 20 with a guide out exploring.
Earlier, you kind of alluded to food, and I'm not going to let you get off that easy.
Mm-hmm.
I want to hear details.
No, I want to stay on it because this is where we shine. Let's talk food. All right. So first, let's go back to where I talked about less people on board, right? We have a crew to suite ratio of 1-to-1. For every suite we have on board, we have a crew member. That means we have more crew. We also have larger galleys, larger kitchens. So with that, everything is made on demand. We have more chefs. We have someone whose job is to we bake our bread fresh on board. We make homemade pasta. Everything is fresh, but it's also beautiful. Like you get your plate of food, people are taking pictures. So it's like dining in a 5-star restaurant when you go to the Waterside Grill. But we also have more variety of dining times and everything. Like we have 24-hour room service. So if you happen to be in a port late one night and you're out exploring and maybe you ate dinner off, but now it's late and you're still hungry, yeah, you can get a burger and fries at midnight on Riverside. Yeah, that is key. That is not common on other river lines. We also have this buffet out all throughout the day. It gets set up in the morning, it gets turned over midday, and is out there until dinner time. in the morning it has pastries and cheeses and meats, and then it turns into more desserts and meats and cheeses and homemade pretzels. So anytime you're out exploring, you come back on Riverside, you could grab a little nosh with it being in between dining, breakfast and lunch, with not having to get room service. It's pretty amazing. Plus, we also put 2 green eggs up on our Vista deck, this Vista deck right here with the pop-up bar, which is a fan favorite. So we do these barbecue lunch grills with, steak and giant prawns and, the salad bar out there. And during the summers when we can, we try on every 7-night sailing to do an al fresco dinner, it ends up being such a highlight of the trip. So, we budget more per guest for the procurement of the best meats and everything. And it really is, the culinary experience is next level.
You don't have a specialty restaurant on board, right?
No, well, we have something called the vintage room. So this is the one dining on each ship that is additional, because you really got to want to choose this because it is an experience. So the vintage room is an additional charge of €320 per person, but it is a 7-course wine and food pairing menu. I mean, it is an experience. It's a private room. On the Mozart, it holds 12 people. On the Debussy and Ravel, it only holds 10. You arrange it on ship when you want to do it. Sometimes you're in with people that you don't know when you do it. Others, you might be there, a group might do a buyout. And the executive chef works with the sommelier. You have a menu. The wine is paired. They talk about the next dish, the wine. And then when you leave, you get a copy of the menu and you enjoyed and a sheet on every wine you had. So if you fell in love with one, you could go back and maybe find it when you got home. It's very, very cool. And we're the only line to have a sommelier on every ship. So for those wine enthusiasts, I mean, there really is no other line than Riverside.
Sounds very elegant.
Yes.
Do you, or at the various port stops, pulling right up into the cities, do you bring on board local entertainment? I know some river cruise lines do that.
Yep, we do bring on local entertainment sometimes. Usually in a 7-night trip, we'll probably do twice, and then we play music. We have a piano player that plays, so I mean, river cruising is different than big ship cruising, and we have big shows and things like that. But that's, because you're really there for the destination. But yep, we absolutely do that.
So Riverside is characterized as a luxury river cruise line. It's right there in the name.
Mm-hmm.
So for those listeners who have not yet experienced a luxury cruise line, differentiate in general a luxury river cruise line from a more traditional.
Yeah, I mean, it's some of the things I've been talking about. You're going to have less people on board. Our ships are, beautifully designed. I mean, it's just going to be higher quality everything, at every turn. Things like I said, king size bed, larger showers. We have a majority of our suites on the Debussy and Ravel have walk-in closets, double vanity in the bathroom, more space. So it's, beautifully well-appointed space, more space, the top-notch culinary I talked about, and the service, right? Having a butler assigned, having a crew that just really does cater to your every need. Like we love to say, we would turn every whim into a yes, right? It really is about providing that European level of service to our guests in a very authentic, engaging, friendly way. It's not stuffy, it's comfortable, it's relaxed, but you feel so, so special.
Here's a similar but more nuanced question. How would you distinguish Riverside Luxury Cruises from other luxury cruise?
Well, I mean, when we really talk about, so you're talking ocean cruise, perhaps? I mean, or are you talking?
I'm really talking about other luxury river cruises.
Yeah. We have really, we're kind of saying we're the only ultra luxury line. We're kind of really in a category all our own. But when we look at the other luxury river cruise lines, Uniworld, Scenic, Tauk, again, we put less people on. We have a larger average suite size. Our culinary program is elevated. It's really just like anything, taking it up to that next level, right? Like it's just next level on every level. It really is.
So I always try to provide listeners the sense of the guest's cruising background. Now, I know you've done a lot of work with river cruising lines. Was your first cruise on a river cruise ship, or what?
It was.
That different.
It was.
What was your? Oh, there you go. Tell us about it.
Yeah, it was Avalon. I took my mom for her 60th birthday. And because when I worked there, this was I'd worked there for a while and I wanted to show my mom what I did and give her an amazing, so my first, and I remember because I had been marketing it for years, but hadn't been on. I mean, this is the thing, right? And I remember standing at the threshold and I know what I said about the room and the configuration and everything. And I literally stood at the threshold before I opened the door and I said, please don't make me a liar. Please say this room and this experience delivers everything I've been saying. And it did. I mean, we had the greatest time. And probably since then, I've probably done 25 plus river cruises. And I didn't get on my first ocean cruise until probably 2015, 2016. Yeah. Actually, maybe later, 2017, more like 2017, 2018. I'd never been on an ocean cruise.
Do you remember the ship?
My first ocean cruise was Holland America while I was the Holland America Koningsdam out of Norway when a top producer event. So I've done a few ocean cruises. Most of them have been for work. The only river cruise line I've ever done for personal is Virgin. Virgin's got a cool product. I like it.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
Talk about the future. Do you have any personal travel booked?
You know what? I did a lot of, I travel so much for work, as you can imagine. I still have 3 river cruises planned for work this year. Last year I did a lot more. Yeah, this year. I leave actually in 2 weeks. I'll be on the Debussy sailing Amsterdam to Basel. So
wow, tough duty. You should get hazardous duty.
I know. Paul, someone's got to do it. It's got to be me. I'll do it. I'll take one for the team. So yeah, but so I have a lot of work travel. But my son and I drive back to Michigan every year. I mean, we do a road trip. Road trips are some of my favorite way to travel. We get to do really nice, fancy things in this job and river cruise, but I like a good old fashioned road trip. That's the only really personal trip I have planned this year because I did a lot last year. But I travel so much for work and, I live in a place that is pretty fabulous. I live in Colorado, so I snowboard during the winter. I get to live in a place where a lot of people come vacation. So I'm kind of slaying it. It seems like I'm slaying it as I'm saying it.
I kind of would agree. Do you have a bucket list? A cruise and travel bucket list?
One thing I did say one time I went when I hosted a tour when I worked for Globus. And I would love to go back to Rome with empty suitcases and just shop and eat my way through Rome and then come back with all new fabulous stuff. I mean, it's a fabulous city. But there's so many places in the States I haven't been. Like I have not been to Glacier National Park, and that's definitely on my bucket list for sure. I hear it's just gorgeous. I'm definitely a mountain girl. I've been that I haven't gone and skied outside the U.S. I snowboard actually. I would love to do that. But I don't. My dogs are going nuts. For me, travel is really. It's about the destination, but it's really about the experiences I have with the people that I'm there. So sometimes it's not so much about what I go and I see, but it's who I'm with and the things that kind of pop up from the mix of people that I'm with. I think that's what is a real driver for me in traveling, which is why I love river cruising so much. And we have such a broad age range. You might have a couple in their 30s who get to know a couple in their 60s or 70s, and you just see them bond and meld, and they're sharing their life stories. And I think that's the stuff that really drives me. So it's kind of like probably my next river cruise is, my bucket list, like what's going to unfold when I'm on there and what great memories am I going to have? Like when I took my son for the first time, I took him in November, he turned 16. We went on a Christmas markets cruise. We went to Cologne and there was a Christmas market that had a really large ice skating loop. We got to go ice skating at a Christmas market in Cologne. I didn't know that was on my bucket list, but God, it was amazing.
Was that his first cruise?
That was his first. Yes, it was at 16. Yeah.
Oh, wow. What
it was amazing.
Experience. Well, Jen, I know you are very busy, but we always close our show with some fun cruise questions.
All right. I love it.
And top executives like to have fun too.
Yes. Fun is my top box. I'll tell you. I like to say, if it's not fun, I'm not showing up. Or if I show up and it's not fun, I'm making it fun. So yes, I love fun.
There you go. First one, how do you spend your me time?
Live music. Live music's my number one. I mean, I snowboard, I play tennis, but I have my birthday is Saturday. Okay. I'm 2 days away from my birthday. And
Happy birthday.
thank you. I actually have 3 concerts this week. I went to one on Monday. I've got one tonight, and I'm going to see Purple Disco Machine at Red Rocks, which is an amazing venue on Sunday. And if any concert music lovers out there, if you've not been to Red Rocks, 15 minutes from my house, put it on your bucket list. It is a top-notch experience. So I see a lot of live music.
Purple Music Machine, does that have anything to do with Prince?
No, it doesn't actually. They're actually DJs out of Germany. And yeah.
Oh, okay. So it's just that's the name of
exactly.
a perform. Okay. Let me be nosy because I love music. What were the other live concerts you saw?
Oh, well, I saw Sharon Van Etten on Monday night. Tonight I'm going to see a more old school punk band called Gang of Four. I saw Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds last week at the Mission Ballroom here. I've seen a lot of concerts. It's really
so you're a music fan.
I'm a music fan. I'm kind of a punk rocker, alt rocker, but then I love singer songwriter. I love dance. I'm kind of all over the board.
What's your favorite cruise drink and cruise food?
Okay, so I mentioned the ginger martini on Riverside. Everyone I introduced to freaks out. I mean, it is to die for because we squeeze the front, we create fresh ginger juice that we put in it, and everything is fresh, and it is so tart. I love tart. So, and then I should not have gotten into the ice cream on Riverside the last time I went because I had it every day, and one day I had ice cream 3 times. 3 times. I have a problem. But we also make our bread fresh on board. There's these wonderful salty sticks that you can't get enough of. And also every night at dinner, we make a different whipped butter. So you might get a butter whipped with paprika, truffle, herbs. My favorite is citrus. You would think sounds weird, but no. This whipped butter with citrus with the salty stick. I mean, honestly, I will eat until I'm sick.
Wow. I love that trend of butters, flavored butters or specialty butters. God. But I'll be honest, I've never heard, I don't recall seeing citrus.
I know. It's a surprise and delight.
And I'm having a little trouble imagining how that might taste. I'm sure it's good though.
Well, you have to get on Riverside and experience it for yourself and report.
There you go. There's another reason. I'm coming up with all of these reasons.
Yeah.
What's your most wonderful or memorable, funniest, or even most embarrassing cruise or port experience?
Well, I mean, I talked about ice skating with my son. I mean, that really is memorable. But when I went on Virgin, I do like me some karaoke. And my boyfriend and I each, you can do the private karaoke rooms on Virgin, which I love. And we did it every day. But then they did have karaoke where they set it up kind of out in the ship. And we both sang, and it was awesome and super fun. Loved it.
You're a river cruise person, but I get the sense you're probably going to go back on Virgin.
Yeah, I've done 2.
Oh, you've done 2?
It's my guilty pleasure. It's my guilty pleasure.
I've only done 1, but I have one booked. I have the new Brilliant Lady.
Okay, nice.
I have that. I have that booked for March.
Well, and the reason I love Virgin, it's cool vibe, but big focus on music and food, and that's kind of my drivers. So, yep.
Okay, last question, and this is I call this an oddball question because it doesn't necessarily relate directly to cruising. Well, so first of all, let me just say welcome to Jen's friends who might be listening, and Riverside Luxury Cruises folks who might be listening to this podcast for the first time. So I hope you have enjoyed what you have heard and will come back and join us for other episodes. Jen, share with the listeners and your friends one thing that they don't know about Jen.
Well, it's probably hard because, as you can tell, I'm a pretty open book. But probably what a lot of people don't, at least the majority don't know, is I love to cry on planes. So especially when I go over to Europe and I've been hosting for a week, I will fly back and watch dramas, and literally it's really cathartic. I openly cry, probably to an embarrassing level sometimes. Like I've had to get up and excuse myself to the bathroom to kind of get it together. But yeah, crying on planes, it's what I do.
There you go. I don't know. I've asked a lot of people over the years about the one thing that no one knows about them, and that one's unique.
Oh, well, good. I like unique. And you know what? Because we like unique at Riverside. It's really what we aim to be. We're not going to be for everybody, but for the people we are for, they are going to love us and we're going to love up on them.
Thank you, Jen, for coming on the Joy Cruising Podcast. I certainly hope that we have whipped up some Riverside Luxury Cruises interest out there in the cruise community. I know we've whipped it up as far as I'm concerned.
Excellent. Hey, if we got you, Paul, then I mean, it's already worth the price of admission.
There you go. There you go. All the best to you and Riverside Luxury Cruises. And as I like to say, we will see you on the ocean, or in this case, we will see you on the river.
Absolutely. Thanks, Paul.
The Joy of Cruising and Cruising Interrupted, each $16.99 plus shipping, and new release, The Joy of Cruising Again for $18.99 can be ordered at the link on thejoyofcruisingpodcast.com. For each of the 3 books, use the discount code Joy of Cruising Podcast and get $4 off. The Joy of Cruising books are also available at Amazon. Order the ebook at Amazon or your favorite online retailer. Stay in touch by joining the Joy of Cruising Podcast Facebook group or following the Joy of Cruising Podcast on Instagram. We're constantly adding new shows. Please leave a review and tell a friend about us. We hope you enjoyed this brief escape to the ocean. See you next week.